again, welcome into the Sports Shuffle, where we will not be playing children's songs over immigration
Mhm.
enforcement videos.
We always have a very interesting off-air show. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
some shows do like pre-show production meetings, like here's what we're gonna do, here's how we're gonna do it. No, we're like, nah, there's an ice video out there where they're playing the Pokemon theme song, and I'm just sitting there giggling, knowing, as Joel said right before we started, that song's gonna be in your head the rest of the night. I'm like, yeah, it is.
because it's just one of those songs that's the way that happens because weird things. But
Not
here,
a political take,
yes,
but
we try to have the prime directive. We try to stay in the lane that is sports. But when you have stuff like that happen, you just kind of go like, uh, uh,
not to have a political take, but
uh.
the
Yeah.
ice video that has got to catch them all as like the big part, that is a choice. I'll let you decide if it's a good choice or not. I am flying Ryan Gilchrist along with.
Tampa more about Joel Verone. We have already got off the rails and it hasn't even started yet. But of course, that is the sports shuffle. We try not to touch the third rail. But yeah, and talking about the third rail, that'd probably be my picks from last week. Is that crazy week?
Yeah, last week a little more chaos, which made the games a little more entertaining. A lot of crazy kicks blocked for touchdowns. I know one happened in the Bucks game; they happened to survive it. One happened in the Rams Eagles game; the Rams lost because of it. The Packers had a block kick, some defensive touchdowns that were
Wasn't
insane.
that pretty much the
And
entire
Joel,
theme of the entire flipping week?
yeah, I mean Joel went 7-9 last week. I went 10-6. The difference is we didn't agree on 3 games. They all happened to break my way. That brings my total to 36-12 on the season, which is still a very good start. Double digits every week is what you're hoping for. Joel falling down to 31-17, still not a bad start, but looking to have a better week. This week, we will get to our picks for the bulk of the week. Later, we'll do our Thursday
As
night pick here at the end. We'll do our recap here shortly.
as this from Adam Schefter Sunday featured count 'em flying, 7 NFL games in which the game scoring came within the final 3 minutes of the fourth quarter. The most such games in a single day since the 1970 merger from the Elias Sports Bureau.
Yeah, a lot of crazy stats. Isaiah Rodgers was named player of the game in the Vikings game in the second
Oh,
quarter
can you
with how good he
imagine
was.
if you had the Vikings DST, you were going, yes, yes. I don't think I had any shares of them, but oh man.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't have any shares. Didn't run up against them, fortunately. Fantasy news for me: I am already out of undefeated teams. Um, happened pretty. I have a lot of leagues. Given there's like 3 or 4 that are kind of secondary things that got added on last minute. Not super worried about, and those are the ones going really, really bad. I think theirs are like 0-12 or 1-14 or something ridiculous, and the rest of them it's predominantly
I've
2-1 or 2-1 equivalency if you have the median score in there. So it's not a bad season, just 4 really bad leagues hurting the overall record.
My good teams are more Yahoo than Sleeper, as the Drake May team, surprisingly, is doing well. Then you have
Oh,
the Baker Mayfield Guillotine League
hmm,
is doing well, still alive.
that's a good thing.
And then Sleeper, the Daniel Jones team that was the Joe Burrow team, wah, wah. And then the other team is the Josh Allen team that was entirely auto drafted is doing good. So go figure.
Yeah, I'm looking at our Yahoo League, the one we live draft, and the one I say I am 100% cursed in because it just never goes well. I think I'm fifth in scoring, and I'm 0-3.
Hmm.
I have another league. I'm 1-2, and I am third in or second in scoring, third in scoring, something like that. So there's been some really, really unlucky things that have
So
gone on in fantasy. There's been some really good ones.
did
Uh,
somebody fly a virtual banner over your team stadium saying fire everybody?
for that league, there's another league where I lost because I had Omarion Hampton,
Ooh, hang,
Scatabo,
hang
and
on.
Quinshon Judkins all on the bench.
That's one of those days. It's like all
Hey,
the good players that went off, and you're going, do I get any bench points?
Hampton and Scatabo got a lot of opportunity to injury. Judkins played a good defense. We're not going to make these mistakes again. But it was a close game. That team's still 2-1. And I lost to the team in first place by 12
Oh
with
yeah, that's like going up.
60-something points on the bench.
It's like going up against I'm the juggernaut. I won't finish the rest of that phrase, but yeah.
Yeah, he should have lost to me, but he didn't, and we move on. What was my maximum score? Because Sleeper does a really good recap of what your maximum score could have been.
Because Yahoo, you have the recaps are cool, and I wish that Sleeper did that in kind of the same format that Yahoo did, not in the league chat, but like boom out there when you log in. Because I like how Yahoo does do that.
Yeah, I lost out about 40 points off the maximum this week in that league. Not great, but hey, that happens. Hey, I didn't expect Najee Harris to go down with a season-ending Achilles injury, which
it
is
was
big
definitely
news from this week.
A week. You also had Connor from the
Connor
Cardinals.
with the season-ending. I heard ankle. I've heard knee.
CD
Season-ending, no matter what.
Lamb is going to be
CD
out
Lamb
for a
with
few
the ankle.
weeks. Mike
Yeah.
Evans.
Evans, another hamstring injury. It happens at least once a year.
Early, get it out of the way.
And the early reports are it's not as bad as last year's, which you went on IR for.
Because it was a moderate one as opposed to CD's, which might be more.
Yeah, CD, it's a high ankle sprain. Jerry Jones says he's going to be fine. He's not going to miss a lot of time. Bordy could go on IR because why would Jerry Jones?
Which is good because have you seen the Cowboys wide receiver lack of depth? Holy cannoli.
Yeah, it's now George Pickens and that guy from section 115, row 7, seat B.
Because I went on the depth chart because I'm like, okay, CD is out. So I said, so who do you do a dart throw to in because you don't want to go to
Keontae Turpin?
Yeah, because you automatically all the videos out there, all the social media posts, and here's the sleepers, and here's all the people that you need to pick up for next week off the waiver wire. They're usually gone. They're gone. They're rostered. Somebody has them, and it's like a waste of time when you watch the video and you're going, "Why did I waste my time when they're all rostered or not available?" So yeah, and it's best to just go to the flipping depth chart and go, okay, who's the biggest dart throw to take a what the heck pick on? And you never know, literally.
Yeah. I saw a lot of Trey Benson. Trey Benson, if he's out there, you got to go pick him up. He's not out there anywhere. I don't play in leagues where people don't realize Trey Benson is worth having on your roster.
I did get Sterling Sharp. I think 2 shares of him.
Sterling Shepard, he could be out there.
Sterling Shepard, excuse me. Hopefully, he's a Mike Evans light.
We'll see what happens with Godwin. There's a chance he comes back this week. We'll see.
Igbuka definitely banged up. You got the hip and groin going, so.
Yeah, Igbuka looks like the real deal, which is good. If Godwin comes back, he's decent. Shepard steps up, hopefully for the Bucs offense with a big test against Philadelphia next week.
And Wirtz comes back because we need the O-line reinforcements.
That's a big one as well. That'll definitely help the team as a whole on the offensive side of the football, running and passing. Get Bucky and Rachaad White going a little bit better. Give Baker more time, and hopefully get that passing game going even better than it has for the 3-0 Buccaneers.
I don't think we really need to talk too much about the Thursday night football game because we already did that ad nauseum, and I don't think you want any more unpleasant memories because that was not fun for you.
Nope. I'm looking forward to the Monday night game where the Dolphins get to lose to the Jets in these jerseys just because, hey, it's at least a different jersey I get to root for.
The Monday night games are not only staggered, those matchups are just going, I don't think that's going to be must-see TV.
Yeah, it's I know it's
Dolphins and Jets.
And then Cincinnati and who are they playing? Cincinnati, Denver.
Ugh.
I mean I'll say this. I think the Dolphins-Jets game could be entertaining, especially if Justin Fields comes back. This is 2 defenses that haven't been very good. Again, awesome jerseys with the rivalry series for the Dolphins coming out this week. It could be one of those sneaky good games, kind of like Pittsburgh and the Jets were week number 1. Cincinnati, Denver, that's a really good defense going up against Cincinnati after they just gave the ball to Minnesota more often than they gave it to their own players. I think that Minnesota's defense scored more touchdowns than Cincinnati's offense. So that tells you all you need to know. Now, given Cincinnati might be better this week, we don't know. Other big news
It can't be
for the
worse.
couple things for the Giants. One, Tyrone Tracy with a separated shoulder, going to miss some time. Cam
Yeah.
Scatabo is going to be the starter for a while at least. This is a job he may never give back. And speaking of jobs that will probably never be given back, Russell Wilson to the bench for Jackson Dart. We'll see
And
what
now
Dart
the
can do
Giants
for
will
you.
lose with Jackson Dart behind center as opposed to Russell Wilson behind center. So
Well, they play the Chargers this week. That's not ideal, but
little bit
next
of a
week
crucible for the young man.
Next week, they play New Orleans in week number 5. That should be where you can tell what Jackson Dart could or could not be. If he's bad against New Orleans, it's panic time, I think, for the Giants. Scatabo's been very good. Carter, who they just drafted in the first round, has been good. If Dart's good, that's a very young, exciting core for the Giants.
You're
He's still
talking
Malik Neighbors.
you're
It
talking
could
who
be an interesting season for the Giants.
you're talking who gets canned first, McDaniel or Dable. I think it's more likely than Dable because Stephen Ross has kind of given McDaniel a little bit of a longer leash. He's being patient. I think Dable's the more likely candidate.
Well, let me look. Anybody that could beat them. They're not gonna fire Stefanski in Cleveland. He's too good of a coach. They know they don't have a quarterback.
Especially not after
Uh,
they upset the Packers, for God's sakes.
no, that's gonna help a lot. D'Amico Ryans, I don't think is on the hot seat, but it's a name to keep in mind in the back of your head. Dable, McDaniels, yes, absolutely. I don't think either of the coaches for Baltimore and Kansas City are in any dire straits at all, but one of them is going to be 1-3 after week 4, and that's
Ooh.
very interesting.
Yeah, I think,
Um,
yeah, Andy Reid and, yeah, Bolton,
Harbaugh and Reed are probably safe, but
Harbaugh's okay. Harbaugh and Reid are okay.
yeah, I think I would lean Dayball just because he was on the hotter seat to start the season. And McDaniel's team, they put up a good fight against Buffalo. I know we're not going to talk about the game, but that was a 21-21 game in the fourth quarter in Buffalo. You can't ask for much more. That
They
defense
showed
looked a
up.
lot better. The defense looked a lot better than it had in previous weeks. So I'm not saying it gave me hope that the Dolphins are going to be a good team, but it gave me hope they're not going to be 0-17 and they're going to get off the schneid here fairly soon with like the Carolina, the New Orleans game that are coming up. Only time will tell how long that takes. Even the Jets this week, it's a beatable game. Um, so yeah, I would say Dable's probably more likely just because if Jackson Dart goes out
Dolphins
and
have to have a
loses
better
to
offense than the Falcons recently.
we'll get to that one very soon. I think that's our first
Uh-huh,
recap. I
uh-huh.
would say this: if the Giants lose to the Saints, who we just saw look embarrassing in Seattle, Dayball's
Beyond.
Dayball could be gone after week 5 if
I
they
was
look
just
bad
I
in
was
that
just
game.
watching poor 5 Points, doing his one of his first streams, I think, by himself, a known New York fan, and pretty much, for most of the stream, he was going like, "Are the Knicks starting yet?"
Yeah, you see those Rangers Centennial jerseys that are a little bit lighter shade of blue? Let's talk about those. Yeah, you don't want to talk about Big Blue. You want to talk
But
about Ranger Blue and Knicks and Yankees. I mean, Yankees. You could talk Yankees and I think Mets.
yeah, Yankees got in the playoffs, unlike our team down here, which was being sold, but yeah,
Hey, fun fact: the Trop has part of a roof on it now.
that's better than it was before.
It's better than it was. There's part of a roof instead of none of the roof. Yeah, Toronto and the Yankees for the East. That's and Boston still has a shot. All right. Mets still have a shot, so yeah, it could be baseball for New York that you want to follow.
Rangers did not
Anyways,
get in. Rangers did not get in. Yes.
yeah. Anyways, we are what about 2.5 weeks from hockey season starting. I think October 9th is the Lightning home opener. There's a little bit of cautious excitement for me as a Sharks fan this year. Yeah, I got the Sharks disc back there with the Dolphins disc next to it. Yes, I can throw it. No, I don't. Not that one at least. There's some optimism that the Sharks are going to be better. I don't think we're ready to say we're a good team going to the playoffs, but very young core. Misa, Smith, Celebrini, of course. They made some trades to get a better goaltender. They've made some
And
moves to get some
one
good
one of
hire guys.
the
We'll see. It could be a good year, and that's something I have to look forward to because the Rays stunk and the Dolphins are 0-3.
one of the most iconic coaches that you know from the sound bites from DJ Steve Porter, Mike Gundy. Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. He's fired.
Ooh, all right. He's a man. He's now well over 40. I think he's That happened in '07, so he's 58, and he's now fired. Math is fun. That was my freshman year of college. That's the only reason I remember it was '07.
I always
Anywho,
I always think the one country song lyric I never liked, math and never did add up. Anytime the teacher's talking pi r squared, all I could think about was going to lunch.
oh, all right. Let's because we're 15 minutes in and haven't talked about any of the games. We did talk about some of the highlights. There's a lot of guys on Wednesday.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys today being marked as questionable on your apps. I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's Wednesday. A lot of people miss
Calvin
practice.
really should just be marked questionable as by default.
There's one injury we didn't talk about, and that's Terry McLaurin. He left the game. It was assumed to be a quad. He's meeting with a core muscle injury specialist today. We'll see what that means for him. That should help if you have Debo Samuel at least, but I think that's the only major injury. He is uncertain to play on Sunday against Atlanta. We'll see. We'll just have to see what happens with him. Now, let's go to our recap, and we will start with the
Go to week 3
aforementioned.
Sunday, and week 3 was definitely drunk, folks.
We'll talk about one of the drunker blowout games of the weekend. That is the Falcons scoring the same amount of points as Joel and I did, losing to the Carolina Panthers 30 to nada.
Zilch.
Again, they scored as many points as Joel and I did, and we didn't play a single down. The Falcons, that's not good. You might start to worry a little bit about Michael Penix. I don't think you need to. You got to look at Michael Penix the same way you look at a rookie quarterback. I think he's going to have highs. He's going to have lows. He was very good against the Bucs week 1. Didn't need to be great against the good Vikings defense. They let Bijan take over that game. And this one, we saw Kirk Cousins in the second half or the fourth quarter at least. And it was a bad game for the Falcons. I think for the Falcons and the Falcons fans, you just go, all right, that was a turd. We're going to flush it and move on, try and correct the mistakes, and come back better. For the Panthers, they almost came back against the Cardinals last week. The Cardinals now 2-1. They do beat the Panthers, or they do beat the Falcons. They didn't beat themselves, which is typically what they would do. The Panthers, that is. Bryce Young, good game. Chuba Hubbard, a lot of Rico Dowdle in the backfield too, which is not great for the fantasy aspirations of one Chuba Hubbard. Ted McMillan, possible calf injury, but we'll see how that goes. It is, again, Wednesday. But the Panthers just putting on an absolute beatdown, one of the worst defenses in history last year, getting a shutout in week 3 this year.
As just the Falcons just absolutely stunned in the loss as the Panthers get their first win at home. It was just so bad there was a Kirk Cousins sighting fly in. As I gotta love how Coach Morris, when was asked if Kirk Cousins would be able to compete for the quarterback job next week, he just goes no. So, and this was how bad it was. You are going, how bad was it? This is how bad it was yesterday. Flying. The Panthers yesterday either forced a missed field goal from outside the 30, a punt, or a turnover. The Falcons never got to the 30-yard line. Once again, to clarify, they did not cross the Panthers' 30-yard line. This is credit to Demerit, Deemerritt on Reddit. And just as a final little it wasn't a good week for the Falcons. There was a viral TikTok flying from kids sports reporters. Atlanta Falcons QB Michael Penix Jr. says his goal is to win at least 5 Super Bowls with the team. I want to get at least 5.
Hey, it's a good goal. I don't think he's going to get it. Then again, Mahomes has 3, and I'm not sure he's going to get to 5. So having a lofty goal as a young player is good, but after 6 games, you don't necessarily look like a Super Bowl winning quarterback quite yet. Again, I think you have to judge him more on that rookie scale than you might want to because he is in his second year, but only 3 games started last year. He looked pretty good in most of those. 3 games started this year, and we'll see. He's going to have to bounce back to give that team some confidence. I think he will. I do think this was just a misfire for him and the rest of the team.
And we go to Cleveland.
Speaking of misfires,
we go to Cleveland and a very shocked Tom Grossi.
Yeah, this was one of the most boring games of the week until about the last 5 minutes. The Packers in Browns, it was 3-0 at halftime. The Packers got a touchdown fairly midpoint, late third quarter. It's 10-0. It's 10-0. Okay, the Browns got like 12 shots inside the goal line for goal to go situation because of penalties. Deep in the fourth quarter, they kick field goal, cool 10-3. And all of a sudden, turnover by Jordan Love ends up in Quidson Judkins' first NFL touchdown. And then there's a kick after a big play by the Packers to get in the field goal range. It's blocked, returned to about the Packers 45. They go just far enough to get in the field goal range and nail a 50-plus yard field goal. The same guy, the Browns should be 2-1, mind you, because the same kicker that made the game winner here missed an extra point and a field goal in the Cincinnati game week number 1. This Browns defense is legitimately a very good defense. Keep that in mind when it comes to your fantasy starters. I know this week it is the Lions playing Cleveland. Now, the Lions have a very good offense. I don't think you're worried necessarily that Detroit's not going to be able to score, but guys like Jared Goff that are more in your streaming category, your Jameson Williams, that's maybe that are wide receiver 2 to flex consideration. Keep those options open. You're not going to bench Gibbs. You're not going to bench Montgomery. You're not going to bench Amon-Ra St. Brown. But this is such a good defense. It shut down Lamar Jackson to an extent. It shut down Derrick Henry, which we'll talk about him in a little bit. It shut down Josh Jacobs this week. It shut down the entire Bengals offense week 1. This is a good defense. This is a team that I think I'd said in the preseason, like their defense is good enough. If they just don't kill themselves with turnovers, Joe Flacco doesn't need to be great. He needs to be competent, and he's barely doing that. And the Browns, again, they should be 2-1. The Packers fall to 2-1 in a very embarrassing loss.
Yeah, you saw the video where Joe Flacco was reacting to the game-winning field goal kick and just being all kind of pumped up as the Browns absolutely shocked the Packers. As I mentioned, Tom Gressie's reactions all over, everywhere.
No, 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 no. Yes,
Memes called the pack frauds, the potential fraud meme and all that. So, and how they respond in week 4 will definitely reveal if they are ready to really be in the final 4 this year. And you definitely had 2 plays, I think, which kind of defined the game. You had Grant and Delpit just
yeah.
absolutely reading Jordan Love's eyes and
Bad
absolutely
pass too.
picks them off. I mean, that's right up there with tipping your pitches in baseball. And how about Harold Fannin just breaking 4 freaking tackles in the fourth quarter with that catch and run? Just absolutely sheer beautiful plays on defense and beautiful plays on offense. And hopefully you have some shares of Fannin.
I picked him up I have Tucker Kraft, so he's not playing, but I do have him on a bench for when Kraft's on bye in week number 5. Fannin's going to be a good player. He's going to hurt Njoku in the short term, but he's going to be a good player. That was also the Browns wearing their alternate jerseys, the one where the guy fell in the lake trying to do the video. So maybe the jerseys aren't cursed. That's just an idiot who can't walk on a dock properly. But the Browns, again, they should be 2-1. The Steelers, the Bengals, and the Ravens are they have the same record as the Ravens right now. I think the Steelers are 2-1. The Bengals, I know, are 2-1. I'm not saying they're in the race for the division, but I think we all expect them to be at least 2 to 3 games back through 3 weeks, and they're just not there. And that defense has shut down some good offenses. That, again, remember week 1, it wasn't just the Bengals that we saw last week in the game we'll get to here in a little bit. That was Joe Burrow with the best of the weapons still available, and they shut him down. And then this week, we saw that team, Green Bay, just looked great against Washington, looked great against the Lions, and then shut down this week. So we'll see what they look like going forward. And we move on
to Duval and a must win for the Texans.
A must win that they did not get. The Jaguars win 17-10. The Texans fall to 0-3. There was a graphic on one of the games, don't remember which one, it wasn't this one, where teams that start 0-3 this century have a 0.9% chance of making the playoffs.
Is that worse?
Time.
Is that worse than so you're telling me there's a chance?
It's basically 1 out of about 101, 102 teams, the way that math works out. I don't think the Texans are turning around because that offensive line is awful. We did at least see Nico have a big play. That's the only reason this game was that close. The Jaguars, it looks like Tootin and Etienne are starting to get into a timeshare, but both got a touchdown. Both are fantasy viable. Brian Thomas looks like he's absolutely on the milk carton, but Parker Washington, Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. have been disappointments, but Parker Washington has stepped up his game. He's got a ton of targets coming his way. A deep dive for fantasy. If he's still out there on waivers, he's definitely in deeper leagues. Someone you want to put on at least the back of your bench. So I've got a dynasty. I was able to pick him up. He's in my starting lineup this week. So he's an option. He's not the best option, but he's an option. Nick Chubb, I think Woody Marks is going to start taking over here fairly soon. So if you have Nick Chubb, probably a good time to look at trading him, especially if you have him in a dynasty format. The Jaguars are 2-1. Second place in that division behind the Colts that we'll get to here shortly. The Texans, is it panic time for Houston? I feel like it's got to be.
Yeah, so much for that whole play for the season thing. Stroud is a shadow of his former self. And they need an O-line bad. Jags good? Yes, they are. And a little bit of a stat on just how good they are in the season. How about Travis Etienne Jr. has already run for more than a third flying of the rushing yards he had all of last season. This season, 214 yards. Last season, 558. He's running.
Yeah, he's having a great start to the season. Just to go into some more numbers, he only had 150 attempts last year, so his average is still much, much better. He averaged 3.72 yards a carry last year, 5.87 this year. I know it's early. I know there's a lot of football left to be played, but it is right now about a quarter or 3/4 of a yard more than his career high. Currently sitting as the running back 9 in fantasy, and you got him in the 9th and 10th round in some drafts. One of the absolute steals. He was one of the biggest busts last year. Remember, 2 years ago, he was the running back 3 in fantasy. This year, running back 9. That entire Jacksonville team last year just fell off a cliff. I think you throw it all out unless you're talking about Brian Thomas Jr.
Like Wile E. Coyote?
Yeah, it was just help. Pew, right to the ground. For everybody except Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah, for everybody except Brian Thomas Jr., who's the only person right now I think you're really concerned about on this team because he's the only one not showing up. Travis Hunter's been bad, but he's been playing a lot of defense as well, so he's not as integrated in the offense. The Jags aren't far from 3-0. They lost that game to Cincinnati last week, or in week 2, I should say, where Burrow got hurt. They very easily could have won that game, and the Jaguars might be a team to reckon with as they go into week number 4, 2-1, and play a very beat up San Francisco team that could be a statement win for the Jaguars.
And we go to the Temple of the Horns.
Cincinnati. Oh boy. Jake Browning looked very good against the Jaguars. He did not look like he knew what football was in this game. Everybody was making mistakes. We saw fumbles from Jamar Chase. We saw interceptions. We saw fumbles by Fant. It was pretty much a bad performance across the board. The Vikings win 48-10. Jordan Mason as the starter was fantastic in this game for the Vikings. Really no good assets this week for Cincinnati on the fantasy end of thing. The Vikings, though, looked a lot better, and that was with Carson Wentz. Don't note to everybody out there, Jordan Addison coming back this week. Hawkinson got a touchdown. The Vikings looked right, which is concerning for J.J. McCarthy long term. If the Vikings continue to look good in his absence, he's supposed to miss 2 to 4 weeks, so probably at least 1 more, up to 3 more. If they go 4-0 in this stretch and they look this good on offense, and then he comes back and he looks like he did in week 2 against the Falcons, the Vikings might be really tempted to go to Carson Wentz and be like, you are not ready. We saw the Colts bench Anthony Richardson. We had a little bit more of a sample size, but if this Vikings team that was a 14-win regular season team last year, if they do that much better with Carson Wentz, J.J. McCarthy comes back and they just don't have it, it's going to be a very tough decision for them because they looked fantastic this week. Isaiah Rodgers, NFC Player of the Week, probably NFC Player of the Month with that game. 2 touchdowns, an interception, a fumble recovery that he forced, another forced fumble. I think he had a sack in this game too. Like he was
the
just
highest PF grade like ever.
Yeah, and it was like 3 minutes left in the second quarter, and they said, today's player of the game, number 2, Isaiah Rodgers. because 2 defensive touchdowns plus an extra fumble plus this, he had all that by halftime. It was insane. He one of the best games for defensive players you've ever seen. Definitely in my memory. I don't remember one that's been better. It was fantastic. And the Vikings, for as bad as they looked last week against Atlanta, they looked like world beaters. And I know Cincinnati's a bad team without Joe Burrow offensively, and that defense is still struggling. But man, the Vikings look good.
Yeah, the Bengals just limped out of Minnesota with that lethal defense and Addison coming back next week. Vikings are going to be a threat to be dangerous. Darnold, who needs Darnold? I'm sure he had a sign or two that was like that in the game. And the Vikings now head overseas to play the Steelers in Dublin and the Browns in London. Big time test.
Yeah, and both very, very winners. They could come back to the States being 4-1 again. Carson Wentz at one time in his career was an MVP candidate. The year the Eagles won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles, he was the engine that got that offense moving. Nick Foles came into a good situation and took over after the ACL injury to Wentz, and Wentz hasn't looked the same since. This could be interesting in the quarterback room for the Vikings going forward. Next up,
We go to Foxborough.
we go to Fumbleboro because the Patriots, oh
Yikes.
boy, they just didn't want to hold on to the ball. Had 5 turnovers in this game, fumble after fumble after fumble, and even with all those turnovers,
Fumblerooski, Fumble Rama.
yeah, Fumblerooski, yeah. They lose by 7 to the Steelers, even though they tried to give that game away worse than the Bengals gave the game away. 21-14. The Steelers, once again, not looking impressive even in this win. They look great week 1, haven't been the same in week 2 or week 3. Jaylen Warren, another guy, if you drafted him in fantasy, he's been an absolute steal. You can get him in the 9th or 10th round. He was going around ETN. He's not as high on the list as ETN. I think he's the running back 15 to 18 right now, depending on your scoring format. But he's been fantastic for the Steelers. Now that Caleb Johnson is just kind of out of the rotation in full, there's no competition. He's very good for fantasy. The Patriots, what do they do? Because Trevion Henderson, they don't seem to want to put on the field because he can't block. He does take some penalties, but the other guys are giving the ball up. So really, really concerning for the Patriots. The Steelers 2-1, tied for first in that division, ahead of Baltimore. They're tied with Cincinnati. Patriots, well, they are the only team not named Buffalo in the AFC East with a win, and it came over one of the 0-3 teams.
Yeah, the Steelers bounced back after last week, and Patriots struggling yet again. And how about a little former Patriots coaching news about Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson on the cover of U.S. Freaking Weekly after a 2-2 start, and Bill Belichick is definitely second fiddle here.
God, I hate that we talk about this man still in that relationship. It's like I'm not getting into it. I can't. It'll hurt my brain. All right. You have any more on this game now that I'm thoroughly trying not to think about Bill Belichick with a 24-year-old?
We quickly shift mindsets to Philadelphia.
Yeah, the Eagles looked like they were going to get run out of the building by the Rams. They were down 26-7, win the game 33-26 on a last-second blocked field goal that was then returned for a touchdown. They didn't need to do it. They had the win because they were up 27-26 when the kick happened. But they run it all the way back and ruined Better's days if they took the spread for the Rams. That was a bad beat. There were several of them this weekend, especially that Green Bay game. The Rams
finally showed up. Yoo-hoo!
Yeah, A.J. Brown was good again. The Eagles actually had to compete in this game. They fell behind, had to throw the ball. A.J. Brown's going to be fine in those games. The problem is, maybe not next week against the 3-0 Buccaneers team.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of games where the Eagles are ahead and they're just grinding out the clock to get to the end of the game and get to their win. Fortunately for you in the fantasy world, if you had A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith, this was not that week. The Rams jumped out early. Kyron Williams looked much better than they had in the prior weeks. All in all, you got good performances of everybody you would expect a good performance. Puka was good. Devontae Adams was good. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, even Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, all very good. Hurts was the quarterback one on the week. So the Eagles moved to 3-0 with 3 very, very close wins. The Rams fall to 2-1, and are part of the best division in football that has 3 teams at 2-1 and 1 undefeated team.
Yeah, because it looked like it was the Rams' game to win until it wasn't. Eagles win the game of the day, if not week, and show, yeah, that's why they're the champs for a reason, Flying.
Yeah, you got to knock off the champs. And the Rams, again, they put up a good fight in the NFC divisional round. They put up a good fight here, but both times they fell just a little short.
And some non game news the Eagles apparently have been denied the appeal of the $75,000 fine for Big Dom using a cell phone in a prohibited area.
Yeah, don't do that. That's not very smart of you. Next up, we go to your
Going
Bucks.
to Raymond James freaking undefeated stadium.
So the Bucks are the first team, I think, ever to win games on 3 scores in the final minute of the game. Not necessarily the stat you'd want, but it is a 3-0 start nonetheless. They had this game pretty well. I think it was 26-6 at one point, 26-7 maybe. The Jets come flying back. They take the lead on a blocked field goal return for a touchdown with 2 minutes left in the game or so. Aaron Glenn loses his mind with one of the best dances we've seen from a coach in quite a while, and then they lose the game 29-27 on Baker Mayfield heroics once again. Downside of this game, you did lose Mike Evans. You're probably going to miss him for a couple, 2-3 weeks. I think that's about the fair estimate right now. Could be 1 week, could be an IR stint. Probably not either of those, though. Good news for the Bucks, like we said earlier. Chris Godwin expected back this week. Tristan Wirfs expected back this week. The Jets fall to 0-3. Monday Night Football, they go to Miami to play the Dolphins, who are also 0-3. Ooh, man, I love how they get these primetime games with the best teams that you could possibly want. But the Jets look fairly good with Tyrod Taylor. We're going to see what happens with Justin Fields. He should be back from his concussion by Monday night. But the Jets have looked like they've had some fight and just not gotten the results.
Yeah, best start for my Bucks since 2005, and Baker's baking those cookies in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, the Bucks are 3-0, the Jags are 2-1, and my Dolphins are still sitting on the goose egg in the win column. It's fantastic.
And how about this one from Mr. Adam Schefter? Tampa Bay is the first team in the Super Bowl era to record a game-winning score in the final minute of the fourth quarter in each of its first 3 games of the season.
Yeah, not the way you necessarily want to plan your wins, but if you can keep doing it.
When it's the fourth quarter, you kind of want to know when it's the 2-minute area. You kind of want to like, okay, got this one in the bag.
Yeah, I would recommend the Bucks do a little bit better at putting games away when you play better teams like Philadelphia, because if you keep those teams hanging around, it often works against you. Teams like the Jets, teams like the Falcons, you can get away with it. But
Yeah, because you Dolphins know, because I remember in the game last year in the Jets, it wasn't anywhere of a guarantee. Close, Dolphins almost lost that one. It's easy for me to say, but they came back and won it in the fourth quarter.
yeah. Next up, the surprise team of the league this season is the Colts, and they keep it going 3-0, 41-20 winners over the Titans. The Titans they're not ready to win. This team has too many holes. Calvin Ridley, put him on a milk carton, get him off your roster if you got him in
the
fantasy.
coach is turning over play calling duties to somebody else. That's all you got to know.
Yeah, Tony Pollard's been very good for the Titans. Alec Aymanor has looked very good as a receiver. Cam Ward, still a very, very raw rookie, but looking like he's got promise.
Calvin
Long-term
Ridley
prospects
hasn't looked good.
No, he's been on the milk carton. He had a decent week too. But Cam Ward, the long-term prospects for the Titans look encouraging, but the current is still very, very poor. The Colts, though, I know we had talked about when it was Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson, it really didn't matter. We didn't have high hopes for this team. I think I had them higher than you did, and that still wasn't above 500. 3-0 start. Daniel Jones, unironically, is possibly the leader in the MVP conversation right now.
Yeah, if he goes in Halloween, you wonder if he's going to dress up as Indiana Jones this year.
I mean, he's doing his best Josh Allen impersonation right now. And I think Josh Allen might be the only person right now that's got a better claim to the MVP because Josh Allen is just Superman for, well, reality and football. But nobody, I mean, nobody. I don't think Daniel Jones or his family expected this out of the Colts this year. So far, so good. Not the toughest schedule. They did beat a good Denver team that we'll get to in a little bit, falling to 1-2. But then 0-3 teams in Tennessee and Miami. It's going to take a little more to convince me that this is the real deal and the fortunate chance for them. They play the Rams this week. Rams went toe to toe with the champs, fell just short. They are 2-1. The Colts, if they win this game, I think you start to believe that this is the absolute real deal for them this season.
Daniel Jones is that good. Nice day to start Taylor. And the Titans are that bad, although they did score 20. Unlike the Falcons, we can look at the Falcons and say the Titans scored more than you did in week 3. So there's that. And Ridley will be frustrating you yet again for yet another year in a whole new uniform.
Yeah, if you're still playing Calvin Ridley, I am sorry. If it's in like a deeper dynasty league where you only have so many options, I understand. I'm still sorry that life is so hard for you because
Yeah,
that is not where you want to be.
no, I actually dropped him in one of my leagues, and yeah, I think it was Roto Ballers came out with a new ranking of players. Calvin Ridley, 71.
Yeah, not great for Ridley. Not great for the Titans. Next up, the Commanders pound on the Raiders with Marcus Mariota at quarterback. It was a good spot start if you were desperate at quarterback this week. They win the game 41-24. We mentioned the Terry McLaurin injury. That is going to be something to keep an eye on for both fantasy and reality for the Commanders. I think Debo this week is a much better play. Zach Ertz is a good play. The Raiders, though, Trey Tucker, 3 touchdowns, was one of the biggest surprises of the week. He's a good wide receiver. Seems like he's got a good rapport with Geno Smith. If he did not get picked up in your waivers this week and he's still out there, go ahead and grab him, throw him on the back of your bench. I guarantee he's a better option than whoever's number
So you're definitely
5 or
buying.
6 on your bench.
You're buying Tucker going forward.
Yeah, I think I'm not buying a 3 touchdown game every week, obviously, but he's had a lot of opportunity. He's been involved. This is a team that really needs good wide receiver alongside of Bowers and Myers. And if he can just be what he was, consistent targets, he's going to have these boom game potentials, but he should have a pretty solid floor. Deeper leagues like our 16 teamer, he's going to have to be relied upon for somebody at some point. And it's just going to matter who can find a way to pick him up. And I don't know who had him. Somebody already had him, I think, in our league. Let's see who it was. Probably a Raiders fan.
Yeah, but Raiders scored the
Oh,
most.
yeah, no, it's not a Raiders fan. Good.
Raiders scored probably the most that they've scored all year season yet, but still lost. And Brady needs to give them some more help. They need all they can get. Commanders behind Mariota gets the win. And yeah, got to monitor Scary Terry going forward, unfortunately.
Yeah, that could be a big loss. You see this all the time with the people that hold out, hold in. They're not 100% ready to go. They do something that's a little too much. They end up gimpy. It was on a long, at first ruled a touchdown, then short at the 1 yard line play. I think it was a 60-yard pass or completion for Terry in that one, and then he was out. So we'll see what happens with him. The fact that you have to go to core muscle specialist because you can't really tell what the injury is definitely concerning as well.
And we
Next,
go
we enter the late
Chargers.
window. Yep, entering the late window, the Broncos lose to the Chargers 23-20. The Chargers, they look pretty good. And Omari Hampton, after Najee goes down,
Torn Achilles, never a good thing.
Yeah. And it's one of those injuries you can see it right away when you get that it's called dorsiflexing because I'm a nerd, where the foot is here and then your ankle's going back like that. You get it supremely flexed. That's when it goes. And then they just go down like they got, just whacked in the back of the head and knocked them out because you cannot support your weight on that. Unfortunately, it seems to be a new injury that is very, very common the last couple of years. We'll see what it means long term. He's not an old running back, but he's on the older side of NFL running backs. Achilles injuries for
Spotlight now on
anybody.
Marion now.
Yeah, Marion Hampton's going to take over, but for Najee, we'll see what it means for his career long term. These injuries are tough to come back from for anybody, but especially at the running back position. Again, I think he's 27.
Fireworks accident, off season, torn Achilles. In season, he's not having a good year.
No, he's not. But Marion Hampton, I think you get the green light to play him now. There are a lot of people like me that through 2 weeks said this guy can't be started. Unfortunately for Najee, and unfortunately for those of us who's out of Marion Hampton, the injury did happen this week, and then he took off. The Broncos, Cortland Sutton, welcome back. He had a monster week. Bo Nix missed a lot of throws by just a little bit off the fingertips of Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin. This could have been a very clear Broncos win. The defense looked pretty good on both sides, but Bo Nix just a little bit off. I'm not too worried about it. The Chargers have a good defense. I think they'll get it right next week against Cincinnati with that terrible defense offensively. The Broncos should be much better. The Chargers, though, 3-0. They look like a team that is a force to be reckoned with in the AFC.
Chargers are that good. Herbert is back, and the Broncos are in trouble early.
Yeah, I'm not worried about them yet at 1-2. I do think the division, the Chargers are 3-0, and all 3 wins are in division. That's a very strong grip on the AFC West. And by the way, all 3 of the other teams are 1-2, so the 2 up already with the tiebreaker in hand. It's as good of a start to a season as you can hope for the Chargers.
And we go to the beatdown in Seattle.
Yeah, this game wasn't as close as the final score would make it look, and the final score didn't make it look all that close. Seattle 44, the Saints 13, and well, those first couple of weeks where the Saints looked like they could hang, that might have been the mirage that we saw last year when they were the highest scoring team through 2 weeks, and then it fell to earth. This might have been
Oh,
fall
yeah,
to earth.
they're putting up 100,000 points, and then they just absolutely vanish.
Yeah, Kamara still heavily involved for fantasy. JSN and Ken Walker, both big game. I mean, Ken Walker had a huge game with 2 touchdowns.
Is Shaheen a dart throw for deep leagues?
For deep leagues, like our 16-teamer and 14-team leagues, that kind of format, I think he's still going to be – there's really not anybody who's a starter that's not viable in a league like that. But a guy like Torrey Horton for the Seahawks, keep him in mind. He had a touchdown reception and the punt return touchdown for the Seahawks. Cooper Kupp is getting older. Maybe Torrey Holton starts eating into his role a little bit, gets more time. Could be a deep sleeper kind of situation for that. But the Seahawks, this game was over. It was 21-0 about 7 minutes in, and it really wasn't any closer than that. I know the final score says it was only a 29-point win. It really wasn't an even game at any point. I think the backups came in, and that's when the Saints kind of got closer.
Yeah, but just all I have to say about this game are Saints are just glad this game finally ended. Woof.
It was still closer
bad.
than the Bears lost to the Lions. Speaking of the Bears, they beat the Cowboys 31-14.
For 1 week.
The Cowboys defense is very bad. We have found that out 100% for sure. It made Caleb Williams look like an MVP candidate. They had the worst flea flicker toss back of all time, and the play still worked for a 65-yard touchdown. This Cowboy defense is bad. So next week when they play the Packers, whoo boy, you want to fire up those Packers. I'm gonna call it now. Matthew Golden's breakout game is gonna come on Sunday Night Football against the Cowboys next week for the Packers. Calling it now. You're hearing it here first if no one else has said that to you.
Yeah,
for the Bears, though, DeAndre Swift is not 100% great. This is a guy who may have his role infringed upon going forward. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I just wanted to comment on probably the highlight that I think is most memorable from this game. Has to be when the Cowboys' George Pickens decided to crash out on the sideline after his drop was intercepted, and he ain't happy and flying. I bet that's not the time you want to ask him a dumb sideline. Hang on, I have to do my side. What adjustments are you going to make next series? That's probably I had to do my dumb sideline reporter voice. Yeah, that's probably not the time to ask him a question when he's taking a helmet and slamming it down on the ground. Is probably the helmet will be jammed up somewhere or something.
Yeah, again, the Cowboys lose CD Lamb to a high ankle sprain. Depending on who you talk to, it's 4 to 6 weeks or maybe no time at all. I think it's going to be probably closer to that 4 to 6 week time frame because high ankle sprains on someone who needs to have the ability to cut is a very big deal. Moving forward, the 49ers win on a last second field goal over the Arizona Cardinals 16-15. The 49ers move to 3-0, the only undefeated team in that division where nobody is worse than 2-1. The Cardinals losing James Conner means Trey Benson becomes their starting running back. Emari Demercado is someone to have in the back of your mind for deep, deep fantasy leagues or dynasty leagues, as he is the next man up if Benson happens to go down. Christian McCaffrey was more than half of the total offense for the 49ers. Mac Jones looked like he got banged up in this game. Brock Purdy back to practice. So maybe Brock Purdy will be back next week. That would be good. Marvin Harrison,
Especially
I
with the
think
Mac Jones MCL news.
Marvin Harrison, though, if you saw the drop I'm referring to where he's wide open, not barely moving, hits him in the hands and hits the ground, you understand why I traded him in Dynasty this week
That's
because
what known
I
as rolling a one in football.
think
Ryan is down. Ryan is down. Is Ryan okay?
I kind of think Marvin Harrison might have just exposed himself as not that good with this game. So it's one of those if you have him in a fantasy or have him in Dynasty, trade him on the name alone. I picked up Golden and a couple first for Harrison, Pollard, and some deep picks. I'm not believing in Harrison anymore. And I don't think a lot of fans are either. I know the fantasy footballers have been doing the meow noise when they talk about him. Meowvin Harrison Jr. He doesn't have that dog in him. He's not a very
Like like like
aggressive
like that
person.
like that old soundbite. Be a dog, not a cat.
Yeah, exactly. And Marvin Harrison doesn't seem to have it. You see guys like Cam Scatabo, we'll talk about him in a minute, throwing himself into a block that injures the other guy's ribs because he hits him so hard. And Marvin Harrison Jr. just doesn't look like he's got the desire to make the tough play, doesn't want to take the hit. It's not a good thing for the Cardinals. But the Niners, I mean, Ricky Pearsall was good. Juwan Jennings missed this game. They're 3-0. They play Jacksonville next week. And then in week number 5, that's the last game Kittle's out. And in week number 6, they can get him back. Ayuk should be eligible to come back after next week. This is a team that could get healthy quick. Only time to tell.
Yeah, just prayers up for Connor. It's never good when you see the whole team huddled around them, and the cart has to come out. Yeah, but
And
sorry, go
he's
ahead.
30. And he's 30. That could be a career ender. That definitely could be, depending
Pretty
on
much
what
what
the actual injury is. And like I said, I've seen knee, I've seen ankle. If it's an Achilles, I'm going to say it's pretty much done. If it's like a broken ankle or a ACL injury, maybe he can come back. He's not going to be 100%, but this could be the end of James Conner as an NFL player.
and just have the Cardinals' failure to be able to get a big league late finally bit them, where, and now 2-1.
Yeah, and they were up 15-13 with about 2.5 minutes left and blew this game. Defenses look good, but that's about it. Next up, we go to the Sunday night football game where,
Oh my God! What a horrible way to end the day.
unless you are looking for Cam Scatabo highlights, there was not much in this game worth watching. Tyquan Thornton might be a thing, and I've been in desperation mode in the Dynasty League because of injuries. Where he's been in my lineup the last 2 weeks, 2 very long touchdowns have salvaged a great performance. The Chiefs they don't look like they have a running game. Their wide receivers don't look good outside of Thornton. I don't know what you do there. They're going to get Rice back in a few weeks. They should get Worthy back sooner rather than later. I don't know. Now, the Giants, they're not playing Russell Wilson. And after watching this
They
game,
also didn't have a kicker. They literally did not have a kicker.
well, Gano did kick a field goal from about 28 yards and was grimacing in pain. But yeah, they really didn't have a kicker for this game. That's why it's 22-9, not 22-10, by the way. But yeah, Russell Wilson really just let everybody on this team not named Cam Scatabo down, and it will be Jackson Dart going forward. I don't know if it's going to be better, but it's going to be a lot more exciting than seeing Russell Wilson throw it out of bounds on first and goal, third and goal, and off the bottom of the upright on fourth and goal because he doesn't have an open receiver. You don't throw the ball away on fourth down. You try to throw the pick. Try and get it to somebody. That alone, that play is, I think, why he's getting benched.
Yeah, because some of the other lowlights, I know they would call them highlights, but definitely lowlights had to be Chris Jones. If he'll was asked if he'll do a a jersey swap with Russell Wilson, his comment, "I don't even want it." And the best comment on social media under this highlight was, quote, "Fun fact: Russell Wilson threw him the jersey to Jones, but it landed in the tunnel. Credit to user Johnny B. Berg." And then, of course, because it's Sunday Night Football, you have to have a Chris Collinsworth moment. And this was when he was praising Patrick Mahomes for recovering his own backwards pass. Quote, "I can't tell you how good of a play that is. So many quarterbacks would have done nothing here." Quote, and my reaction is, okay, we get it. He's good. Dear God, give it a rest, Chris.
It was a good play, and I will say he's right on this account, but he does slurp the toes of Patrick Mahomes a little too much, and
Yeah,
that's the PG version of what I really wanted
yeah.
to say. And a little,
ESRB, Peggy
yeah,
18.
yeah, a little bit of breaking news for your Buccaneers. Bucks listed wide receiver Chris Godwin as a full participant in today's practice. So it
That's when
looks like he is
you have a do
progressing.
have a Booker T. Da 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 da. Can you dig it? Yes.
Yeah, not a guarantee he plays, but that's a very good step for a Wednesday practice going in the right direction. As we move to the last game of the week, the Monday night football game that was lived up to the hype, I'd say.
Finally, at least it was
Lions.
better than Sunday night, and Sunday night didn't have too much that you needed to really do better than that game.
Yeah, Lions win 38-30. The biggest concern coming out of this game is Derrick Henry, 3 straight games with a fumble, 2 of which have been extremely costly for the Ravens.
He did
He's
get a
been
touchdown at least.
very good. He's been very good in these games, but those fumbles, 2 of the 3 wasn't good against Cleveland, but those fumbles have been huge. It allowed Detroit to put this one out of reach. David Montgomery, big night. Gibbs, a big night. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a touchdown. For the Ravens, Mark Andrews, welcome back. Lamar Jackson, of course, good. Zay Flowers on the milk carton this week, and I wasn't upset about it. I was playing him in a league where I
Ooh.
needed the win. So that helped me quite a bit. And they also played the Ravens defense in that matchup. So got help on all sides. Not a big game for Jared Goff, but the Lions, once they know they can pound you in the mouth and just run the ball down your throat, that's what they're going to do. And that's what they did. They submitted the Ravens to as much punishment as they can handle and then kept going. The Ravens fall to 1-2. And once again, they play the Chiefs next week. One of those teams will exit the game 1-3. The Lions, that week 1 loss to the Packers, way in the rearview mirror at this point.
Yeah, because Detroit controlled the trenches on both sides of the ball. Defense, hey, see what happens when you actually have a healthy defense. Hey, how about that? And they sacked freaking Lamar
7
flipping
times.
times. Lions offense handled whatever the Ravens gave them, even on special teams. Didn't matter. Hey, we can run 117 flipping yards or whatever it is. You just gave it to David flipping Montgomery. Statement, freaking statement game for the Lions. And you have 3 players who are definitely up. Montgomery, Gibbs. You have to love flying. The Amon Ra option play to Gibbs on 4th and
Yeah,
freaking
that was
down.
great.
Play of the effing game. And how about Andrews finally has a game where he's not on the fantasy milk carton? Stock down, although Derrick Henry did have a touchdown, so not entirely a stock down game. But as you mentioned, the fumble streak continues, so it's definitely very worrisome. Jameson Williams, yeah, he looked great on the first drive, then like, well, did the stealth thing, and all of a sudden you can't find him. What happened. And yeah, so it's just like you're just kind of, you're just sort of really having to question. Oh, yeah. And the other down, definitely the Baltimore O line, as Lamar Jackson is probably doing some glares at them in the locker room. And you definitely had to like there was a highlight video where you have Lions running backs, Jameer Gibbs, and David Montgomery were signing a fan Sonic and Knuckles
Yeah.
poster.
Yeah, that was very cool. I saw that in the post game as well. The Ravens have scored 111 points. They're averaging 37 points per game, and they are 1-2. So we expect the Ravens to turn things around. It'll be interesting against Kansas City. I don't think we're down on the Ravens to the point where we don't think they'll be a playoff team, but maybe that Super Bowl aspiration, the Super Bowl favorite out of the AFC, maybe that's gone by the wayside. As we move on to our picks for Thursday night football, it is Seattle going to Arizona, both teams at 2-1. You are going to be playing Ken Walker and Jackson Smith Njigba at 100% rates. You should be. Charbonnet is officially questionable for this game. He was out last week. He was an estimated full participant. We'll see what happens with him. Sam Darnold in a spot start could be a good option here. For Arizona, I think you're going to be interested in Trey Benson. Not 100% have to play him, but if you had a James Conner, you have Trey Benson. He's probably going to end up in your lineup. I can't recommend that you play Marvin Harrison Jr., but where you drafted him, you're probably stuck with not better having better options. You're going to play Trey McBride. The Seattle defense is the worst against tight end, and Trey McBride happens to be one of the best tight ends. And for the Seahawks, or the Arizona Cardinals, you do have Kyler Murray in at least consideration for a start this week against Seattle. Seattle's defense has looked pretty good the last couple of weeks. Actually looked pretty good all 3 weeks after the loss to San Francisco week 1. Took care of business against Pittsburgh and obviously throttled the Saints last week. But Arizona's hung tough in all of their games. So Joel, I know you're over there cleaning up a mess. I heard it spill.
Yep.
but
Yeah. So technical difficulties here. Hold on. Yeah.
but
Yeah, Seahawks or Cardinals. As
yeah,
far as
please.
this game goes, it's just I know you're definitely concerned about the Seahawks, but I think you're definitely concerned about the Cardinals more because I know you have the angle where the Cardinals pull together to try to fight and get a win for Connor. But you just have to have a lot of concern for them with just their inefficiency too, like we just mentioned. They couldn't end up holding a big lead late. Seahawks have been dangerous, I think, more recently. And I just have more confidence in the Seahawks than I do in the Cardinals. And I think this is one of those games that can easily go either way. But I got to go with the Seahawks. I just have more confidence in them.
Yeah, I'm on the Seahawks as well. They've looked like the much better team through 2 weeks. They dominated the Saints with the Cardinals barely survived them. They stood toe-to-toe with the 49ers when they had Brock Purdy. The Cardinals stood toe-to-toe with the 49ers when they had Mac Jones and no George Kittle. I just think they're a better team all around. They've beaten better teams, and I think Seattle's going to get the job done on the road. They are a road favorite by 1.5 at this point. I just think Seattle's a better team as well, and I'm going to take Seattle. So, Joel, time for final thoughts. Are you ready for yours? You still got a little bit of a mess to do.
Actually, if you can just talk for just a quick minute while I go get
All
some
right.
more towels, and I will be right back.
All right. I will talk for a quick minute. Um, if you are a baseball player, you need to get out of the way of a fastball. I don't know if anybody's seen the video of can't remember the guy's name offhand, just getting absolutely beamed in the face with a 99-mile-an-hour fastball, trying to bunt. You have to have the wherewithal to get out of the way. Don't know the severity of the injury, but I know he was carted off, and it's rare you see someone carted off in baseball. But yeah, he took one a little too fast in the face, and it's not something you want to do. Let me see if I can find out more about it because that was last night. As Joel is back with us, we're talking about the guy that got hit in the face with a fastball last night.
Oh, the Cleveland Guardians. Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty
Yeah,
brutal.
facial fractures. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. broken nose and facial fractures when he hit by a face by Tariq Skubal. Okay, that's a name. And they are tied for first in the division. Will fully recover. He's going to be out for at least the next few weeks. It sounds like he's going to be out for the rest of the season, unfortunately, for the Guardians, but does not need surgery, so that's good. And he didn't lose consciousness, which is impressive when you get hit in the face with a 99-mile-an-hour
Yeah.
fastball.
I just have a little bit of a soak pants here. My mouth seems to be okay, and so is my keyboard. So
All right.
I
So,
think
Joel, let's
we
get
are
you for final thoughts.
as we contain the damage. So yes, that's always fun. Anywho, first final thought is yeah. Oh, I summed into something here. Hang on.
The notes aren't noting because he had a mess.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what happens is when you hit a Control Z and it decides to go back to what you had before, and you go, that's not what I ended up initially having. But my first final thought was, of course, with the Rays moving on from Stu Sternberg, just someone has to remember the warning that he ended up giving that he wouldn't be the one to sell the team, it would be the person or persons he sells the team to that might. And sort of a 1A with the Rays not in the postseason again. Is this team ever going to be competitive again?
They will. They'll be competitive. I think the new ownership, whenever it does happen, they're going to keep the team in Tampa Bay. It sounds like the projected ownership group wants to do that, and they'll be fine. Uh, you got to get to a point where the owner actually wants to pay the good players to keep them around, and they'll be fine.
And final thought number 2 with MLB going to basically what are robot umpires for the playoffs. Is this a good move or not?
It's not a good move for like everyday play, but it's going to be available for challenges and stuff like that. I don't mind that. I mean, we have video replay in every other sport. As long as it's not I think that was a strike. I said it was a ball, and it's like every fifth pitch we're challenging. I'm fine with using it this way. I don't know how it's going to work. I want to see how it works for reserve or pass judgment on how it's going to be and how good or bad these robot officials and umpires could be. If they are 100% accurate when the MLB officials are 96%, and that might be gracious with some of the umpires back there that just miss calls like crazy, not to name names, we all know them. It could be a benefit, but let's see how it plays out first before we go too crazy for this technology.
For my thought is like, I definitely am I still on?
Yeah, you're still on.
Okay, I thought I unplugged my mic ingeniously there for a second. My thing is I can understand the need for accuracy, but uh, on the other hand, just baseball doesn't seem to be baseball if you don't have managers and players absolutely flipping out on the plate at the ump. Because it just seems to me a part of the game for better or for worse.
Yeah, I think it'll be better to have the calls correct, but you are going to miss something with the theatrics around it.
And finally, on a bit of a light note, because you could always use some light stuff, especially when you have craziness go on. And that is, of course, I saw a report about Aaron Rodgers being on Pat McAfee. And apparently, last year he was mentioning something about using meditation circles to call aliens. And apparently, today on the show, he mentioned that multiple drones were around his house. So, flying. If Rogers can't play because he's abducted by aliens this week, is it a good idea to stash Mason Rudolph?
I think he's got about, as Joel disappears, I think he's got about as much of a chance of getting abducted by aliens this week as he does of being raptured yesterday. I'll tell Joel that little joke when he comes back. My final thought is a very fun stat out of the NFL, and that is that the Minnesota Vikings under coach Kevin O'Connell are 15-3. Oh, hold on. Here comes Joel. I might as well hear the whole thing. And I said to your question, Aaron Rodgers has about as much chance of being
I heard
touched
it.
by. Okay, there we go. Cool. Minnesota Vikings are 15-3 under Kevin O'Connell when they start a ginger at quarterback between Sam Darnold and Carson Wentz. So that would imply that they should go to Carson Wentz. We talked about there may be a controversy down the line if the Wentz is really, really good for this team. But yeah, fun fact: the Vikings and gingers go together really, really well, which actually makes a lot of sense knowing the origins of the Norse Vikings. Anyways, that is our time. Hopefully, Joel's got the spill and containment and no damages.
Pretty
No
much.
damages to the technology. That would be good. And we'll be back in a few days to do our picks for the rest of week number 4. We'll recap the game on Thursday
We will
night.
hopefully do better than this week.
And hopefully Joel will invest in a cup that has a lid and a straw or something, so you don't hear a whole sloshing mess over the background. Because being hydrated is fun, cleaning up a mess is not so much.
Yeah, we've both been on that end of doing this. Not fun at all.
Anyways, I am Flying Ryan Gokers along with
Tampa Motormouth Joel Verlin.
And we'll be back, like I said, doing the rest of week 4, see if our pick streak, or at least my hot pick streak, Joel's kind of extinguished, can get going. And best of luck to everybody with the Thursday night game in fantasy football. With that, we go.